Previously on
Connor's Crazy Countdown.
Hello everyone, I've already recorded this video once, but it went so badly that I've decided to record it again. Basically, I had this video, I wanted it to be recorded for about maybe half an hour or two hours and a half or whatever, or just 2 hours. It ended up being recorded for nearly 3 hours because my mouse has been an absolute pain. It's been extremely hard to click anything and all other sorts like that. If you didn't guess by the intro or whatever it is, also why have I got this open right now? Give me a minute. It also took me a while to get my Elgato back set up. I'd like to say I'm feeling extremely jealous right now because if people my age, i.e. bigger YouTubers, so for instance Mini Minter has one of the best setups in the world. I would love a setup like that. Unfortunately I don't have that, and I still can't get my Elgato to properly work, and I'm sick and tired of the way my setup is, and I can't do anything about it because I do not have enough money for it, and it's really sad. Yeah, it's great. So I've been feeling absolutely happy, really happy. So I decided to do another Connor's Crazy Countdown. And another thing I'll have to note is I can't remember a lot of these characters' names off by heart, so I probably have to keep chopping and changing and going places and things. But I guess what I'm going to do is just start at the beginning. So originally I had me recorded picking and choosing and putting these people in the list. I've already done that because, like I said, I'd already recorded this. But anyways, so the first character we have, this is 24, this is the TV series 24 by the way. The first character we have is Jack Bauer. How could we not have Jack Bauer? There is no 24 without Jack Bauer. Although having said that, I think that there's maybe two more series without him in it, which is just like why. But yeah, Jack Bauer, what a man. There's literally a song by Key of Awesome about I've got a man crush on Jack Bauer. It's pretty funny. But yeah, Jack Bauer's just, there's no one like him, and it's really sad that people do not believe him a lot of the time. Okay, moving on. So next, I also say that there's terrorists in the top thing. So we have legend, we have great, decent, okay, and I've changed the bottom bit to dang it instead of what it actually is, but I've got bad people in the top, right? I do not condone what they do, but them as a bad guy, they're great. It's like Disney, right? There is no good story in Aladdin without Jafar. There is no good story in The Little Mermaid without Ursula. There is no good story in The Lion King without Scar. Like, every good story needs its bad guy. So the terrorists are good characters, not good people. Does that make sense? So anyways, the next character we've got is Philip Bauer, and this is Jack and Graham Bauer's dad. He comes in season 6, I think it is. He's also quite a famous actor. He's been in the Green Mile. He's been in The Longest Yard. He was also been in Babe. But in this, he is despicably evil, and it's fantastic. Like, it legit is. Oh, he is such a good bad guy. It doesn't really make sense, but yes, he is awesome, and the things he do are just despicable, and it's amazing. So that is why he's in Legend. The next character, there is nobody more legendary than this. This is David Palmer. Now, David Palmer is a much better president than the current president. Pity he's not real, and he's also the first black president, apart from Obama and Morgan Freeman. No, anyways, David Palmer in 24, he came in at season 1, and he stayed in it till season 5. Then things happened in season 5, but he is just a great president. Like, if he was a real guy, if he was a real president, I think we'd be in safer hands. He's amazing. And there is parts where a lot of people disagree with him, and it's really sad, but for the most part, he's a very good, entertaining character. and that's why he's a legend. Next, we've got another Palmer. This time we've got Wayne Palmer, the next the next black president in 24, and he is just as good as David Palmer. Maybe not just as good, but he's still top tier. He is amazing, and he went through a lot. Like, although David went through a lot in his time as well, but Wayne was just like he nearly got shot, and things happened to him in season 6, and it's just chaos. Uh, I'll also say that I'm trying very hard to not spoil anything, even though most of these things came out at least 5 years ago. Um, but yes, so Wayne Palmer, awesome guy, and funnily enough, he was in this guy, the actor that played him, was in CSI as well for one episode, and he was a really, really bad guy in that. But, anyways, in this, he was a great character. Okay, so next we've got Aaron Pierce, or Aaron Pierce, or whatever. He was also the actor was also in CSI as the mayor in season 1 or 2 or whatever. But in this, he's like if Jack. He's very similar to Jack Bauer in that he's an extremely strong character. Like he saves so many people, or is that the right term? Like he stands up for the first lady, and he's by David Palmer's side all the time. Like he does things that get him into trouble because of David. Like, he stands up for David. He's so nice. He's so caring. He is strong. He literally went. He literally protected the first lady at all costs. It ended up in him getting hurt quite badly, but he just rolled with it. After that, he got out and he stood up and he was strong and he did everything he could. That was in season 5. Season 5 fun is my favourite season for some reason. So yeah, Aaron Pierce, no doubt about it, legend. Obviously, like every single person I'm going to be saying right now is a legend because this is the legendary category. Next, Audrey Raines, who is also one of Jack Bauer's love interests, and I think the one love interest of Jack's that goes through the worst time, like, apart from Terry, obviously, but she goes through the worst times because of Jack, basically. Like in season 3, I think it was. I think that's when she first came in, season 3. She had a rough time with her dad. Things went bad there, but Jack came through and saved her. And then there was the whole season after season 5 ended. Things went bad there. She believed Jack was dead for a while, which really upset her, and then things went wrong between her and her ex-husband involving Jack. It was just, she went through so much chaos, but she stood strong. Like, despite what was going on with her husband and Jack, she was still at work, she was still working hard, she was still there, and she's great. Like, wow. So that's the first strong female character we've had. And next is her dad. This is James Heller. And again, another extremely strong character. Like, he's been incredibly brave throughout all the things he's been through. Like, although he's older, that doesn't mean anything. He's still an action hero. He still does great things. He's still strong and can support himself. Like, when he was in season 3, he was not afraid of the people that had done stuff to him. He was there. He was ready to go. He was desperate. He didn't want Audrey to get hurt, of course, but he didn't care what happened to him, and that's such a brave patriot hero guy, whatever else. Next, so we're going kind of the opposite way from Audrey in that she's a great person to an absolutely horrible person, but again, a legend because everything she did was just so despicable. So this is Nina Myers. She was in season 1, and if you don't know 24, like I said, spoilers, but she does awful things. She does an awful thing to Terry, that's Jack's wife, but her and Jack had a thing, and then her and Tony had a thing. So the fact that she was awful made the two of them feel just even more angry. she eventually got what she deserved thanks to Jack, but she she kept like showing up. She was like a pimple in a sense. Like you don't want to see her, but there she is. She's there. She's there. She's there. She's there. She keeps coming back, and she's just despicable. Like a good despicable. Like we want bad people in this story, but wow. So yeah, a traitor and a great traitor at that, basically. Now this is the first like legitimate terrorist in a sense. Well, Nina's a terrorist too, but this is Habib Marwan, right? Yeah, something like that. And this is, if there's any terrorists throughout this whole series, I think these are my favorite terrorists. Don't know why. I just think they're so good. They're so strong, and for the most part, they get away with a lot. But if you recognise this guy, this actor that played him was in The Mummy, the original Mummy with Brendan Fraser. He was the mummy, basically. Um, but in this, he blends in quite well, and he's actually quite tall as well. He's quite threatening. So when you come across him at first, he's just, and when Jack first comes across him, he's just standing there like smiling. He's like, uh, he's good. He's really good at being bad. And what else? Like he again, he's very brave in a sense. Well, is brave the right word? He's willing to die. Basically, he's not afraid of dying, for his cause. I don't know if that's brave. It's maybe brave in their circles. It's not really the right term. He's just scary. If it's not the right term, I don't know. But yes, Habib Marwan is one of my favorite terrorists in 24. Yay! And next we've got another somewhat terrorist. This was the same series, so this is the son of an actual terrorist, and the but the thing is, he didn't really want to do the terrorist stuff. Like he was kind of trying to sway away from that. He did stuff. He was awful. Like he did bad stuff, but he and his mum kind of stopped it. Like they turned sides briefly, and who this is Beru's. Come on, I can remember the name. Beru's Araz. His girlfriend was an American, and his parents hated that, and bad things happened to her. Well, she's not even on this list, so yes. His dad wanted him to kill her. Like I said, spoilers, right? But he couldn't do that, so his mum had to do it. But this led on the trail of him and his dad having a huge falling out, and basically Baruz and his mum changing sides, and it was just awesome. Like I loved this whole situation. It was just great. Like I really liked Baruz throughout this, so for that reason he's a legend. And next off is his mum, who is Dina Araz. Again, she was awful. She did horrible things, but she changed sides, and that ended up in her having a horrible mishap, basically. But she was a great, good, strong character as well, and yeah. So a bad girl, bad. That's the wrong term. Bad woman, but she had good in her too. She was not willing to trade. She was not willing to do bad in order to lose her son. Does that make sense? So she changed sides to the good side because of her son, basically. Right. Now we've got the first like. Now wait, we've had a few heroes, but this guy did something the this guy did something remarkable. So this is George Mason, who was like one of the heads of 24. He was like the head in season 2, I think season 2 to season 3, around that time. And one of the terrorist attacks had something really bad happen. Obviously Jack was going to be the one that initially changed all that, but George came up at the last minute. He'd already had like one of the worst days of his life. He knew things were not going to work out for him, so he took over Jack's job in a sense and saved the day for everybody. So did I say this? George Mason, and what a hero he was! Like, oh, a very likable guy as well. I mean, when he's not being weird. Yes. Right, so now we've got one of the biggest characters in 24 who has nearly been in every season. I think she wasn't in season 1, but she came in about season 2. This is Chloe O'Brien. Now, Chloe O'Brien is. This is like 24 is a very serious series. Like, there's not much comedy in it at all. But Chloe O'Brien gives it that humour. Like, she's so weird. She's so awkward. She's so odd. And it's great. Like, some people would probably be like it's a little bit cringy, but she is just bonkers. Like, she'll be like, she said something bad to somebody, and then she went down to the med bay to talk to them, and she's like, I'm sorry for what I said. Like it makes me feel so awkward. You know, I don't really feel that way, and I don't actually. If you get to know me, I'm actually quite nice. Like, so bizarre. Like, it's not a comedy, but she gives it some sort of humor. She gives it a down to earth, funny vibe. Right. So next up, we've got kind of a sad story here. So this is Curtis Manning. He was like Jack's second hand man. So Jack usually tends to have like another guy by his side throughout the seasons. And this was Curtis Manning. He was in it for 3 seasons. But come the 3rd season, Jack was working with a guy who had done really bad stuff to Curtis in the past, and because of that, Jack had to do stuff to Curtis. Like, you can probably guess, right? But that was really sad. But at the same time, Curtis was not giving up. Curtis was not doing his job. Curtis was being an obstacle in a sense. So Jack had to do what he had to do, and it was sad to say goodbye to Curtis for that reason, but it just had to happen. He was a great agent, and it was sad when he was gone. Next, another sad thing. This is Edgar Stiles, and I have to say, out of everybody here, he has one of the, I wouldn't say funniest names. It's just a very odd name. It's like every time he'd answer the phone, it'd be like Agent Styles, and I'm like, Styles, okay. I'm sure there's hundreds of people in the world that have the name Styles, but in Britain, like, not many people have the name Styles. But he, yeah, I wouldn't say he's funny in a sense. Is lovable the right term? He's like Chloe's best friend in a sense, and another terror attack has something bad happen to him and also his mum, and that ruins his whole day. So Edgar was in it for 2 seasons, I think. He came in at about season 4, I think. Season 4 to season 5. It was either season 4 to season 5 or it was season 3 to season 4. It was one or the other. But he had a horrible ending thing and whatever else, but he was likable. Like, I could totally have had him for a couple of more seasons. Yeah, right. So legend there again. Next legend. Now this is a bad legend. This is Charles Logan, President Charles Logan. If you don't know, this is the one season that you most definitely must watch. He was in charge of a lot of horrible things that happened in America. Especially involving David Palmer. He had worked with him the previous year, and then that just screwed up everything for Logan, basically. But what a good bad guy. He was so vile towards people. Like, well, not, no, maybe that's the wrong term. He actually put on a good facade in a sense. Like, he could come across as a caring, good president, but behind closed doors, he was awful to his wife. He wanted revenge on Jack Bauer, so many things, and it was just, this is the president of the United States. The fact there's a bad guy who's the president of the United States, how do you go against somebody like that? It's just like, oh, it's awesome. So yes, that's why he's in legend. And next we got another head of CTU, another amazing character that's been in it for a long time. This is Bill Buchanan. So Bill Buchanan came in about season 3, I think. Season 3 or 2. No, I don't think he was in it as early as 2. But how do I describe this? He has like one of the best voices ever. It's like a James Earl Jones sort of voice. It's like, Michelle, Chloe.
We need to talk, Jack. I'll call you back on a secure VPN line.
Bill, what the hell is going on?
I need 10 minutes to set up the VPN.
I don't have 10 minutes.
10 minutes, Jack.
He's got this deep, caring voice. Like, he just sounds... He's like your dad, in a sense. He's just lovable. And he does a lot. He's a very... Like, Season 7, if you have not seen it, definitely watch it, because Bill is incredibly brave in it. Bill is great. Bill is amazing. Bill is awesome. Bill is top notch. Yes, so Bill is definitely one of my favourite characters, therefore he is in legend. And next to him is somebody that he had a little bit of a fancy for, but nobody gets Michelle except for Tony. This is Michelle Dessler, and she has quite an experience throughout her whole time in 24. So she came in season 2, I think. See, I really can't remember, but I've literally just watched some 24. Yes, so she came in about 24, and at that time she and Tony weren't a thing, but they did have feelings towards each other, and then after that it just was the Michelle and Tony story, and then like she was in a hotel at one point, things went wrong there. She and Tony had a little bit of a falling out, but then they got back. They had, the stuff. She went through a lot. She also worked alongside one of her mortal enemies, who we'll get to eventually, and her brother also nearly killed himself. It's just so much has happened. So that's Michelle Dessler, and what a pretty lady as well. Yes, I'm probably going to be saying that a few times. There's a couple of ladies in 24 I've had massive crushes on, and Michelle is one of them. Yes, it's creepy, it's weird, but men and women have crushes. Yes, Jonas Hodges, right. This is Jonas Hodges, another bad guy that's just despicably bad, and he is awesome at being bad. So he came in, I think it's either season 7. It must be season 7. He must come in at season 7. It's either season 7 or season 8, but I don't think he came in season 8. So he is just like, I think even when 24 had found out about him, or when the characters found out about him, they're like, oh, it's him. Like, what a bad guy. This guy's horrible. This guy's terrible. And he plays it off so well. He loves being bad. Like, I think he was literally in the White House at one point. He was just sitting there like, I know I'm bad, but you can't get me. And it's like, he's so good at being bad. Yes, so again, one of my favourite bad guys. Like, if the terrorists, Habib Marwan and that didn't exist, he would probably be my next favourite terrorist or bad guy. Right, next, this is the ex-wife / wife of Charles Logan. This is Martha Logan, and because of her, Logan got found out. This is the true hero right here. She did not like, when she found out what Logan had done, she never stood by him after that. She was totally against him. She was riddled with rage towards him. She also, in season 7, I won't say season 6, I won't say exactly what she does, but she gets more revenge against Logan, and it's just brilliant. So yes, she's, as far as first ladies go, one of the best right here. Like, oh, she was remarkable. And the sad thing is, like, Logan, because he was president, everybody believes him. Throughout that whole season, he was like, oh, Martha's just not well, Martha's crazy, Martha's this, and it's like, you totally know she's not. So, always on her side here. Now this is, I don't know the guy's first name right now, but his name is Hassan. Alright, Omar. Not close at all. Right, so this is Omar Hassan. This is another character who's just exceptionally brave. Like, what he does is beyond heroic, and like in a season that I personally found not the best. I mean, it had some amazing parts in it, but after season 7, it just kind of went downhill. Some of the seasons were like, there was only 3 or 2 more, and they were awful. But season 8, this guy was in, and season 8 had some great parts to it, especially Omar Hassan. Now, if you recognise the guy, weirdly enough, he was the host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and The Fresh Prince. No, I always said that. I said that the last time. what's it called? Slumdog Millionaire. He was the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, sorry. But in this, he's way more serious. What he does is beyond heroic, and of course Jack's involved in that as well. And it's just between him and Jack, the two of them, this scene, the things that they have to do. Like I said, if you have a chance to see these things, see them, because watching them without me telling you what's happened is just incredible. So, Mr. Brave, this guy is Omar Hassan, legend. Right, on to my second favourite crush girl. This is another beautiful lady that's in the whole thing. So this is Kim Bauer, or Kimberly Bauer. So she started in season 1 along with her dad and her mum, and she went through. She was in season 2, season 3. I think she was either briefly in season 4. I don't think she was in season, or she was in season 5. No, she was in season 4. Then she was in season 5 briefly. Then she wasn't really in season 6. She was in season 7. It's just, or she was in season 6 and she absolutely hated Jack at that point. Is it any wonder that the things that he made her go through? That yes, she extremely pretty, and she, right from the beginning, had a horrible time throughout this whole thing. She was literally kidnapped at one point. I wouldn't say which season, and I wouldn't say how, and I wouldn't say who did it or anything like that. But yes, she has an awful time. But overall, great person, great character, and it gives Jack humility. It's not the right word, because it gives him balance. He's got this daughter to look out for, and he always wants to protect her, but in a sense, when he protects her, it kind of puts her at risk, and it's just like, wow. So that is Kimberly Bauer, absolute legend, absolute bombshell. Next, we've got another quite funny character, but also an extremely charming character. This is Morris O'Brien, and if you don't know who that is Chloe's ex-husband, who then is her actual husband. It chips and changes, but he like Bill Buchanan has one of the nicest voices ever.
I'm calling Eric Carter. He'll know a good lawyer.
He's an ambulance chaser.
Yeah, but he'll know a good defense attorney.
This guy was also in CSI Vegas twice as two different characters, but he is beyond charming, and he is sort of funny, but he does something terrible in one of the seasons, and he just lives with extreme guilt through that, and you can feel for him because he didn't mean it. Like he does not set out to do that, but he's not Jack Bauer. Like, he can't hold out for that long, so he's getting tortured, and he just gives up because he literally can't hold in anymore. But yeah, and even at that point, him and Chloe were having the worst time because she was like, she said something she didn't, but inside Morris was just killing himself, beating himself up about what he'd done, even though he had no reason to feel guilty because it couldn't have been helped. But yes, Morris O'Brien, legend. Is it Abu? No, Navi Haraz. Navi Araz. Right, Navi Araz. So this is the dad of Behrooz and the husband to Dina. He is also despicable and one of my favourite terrorists. I mean, he doesn't really accomplish much in a sense. It's more the bigger players in the game. But yes, well, he does sort of accomplish things. But the minute he finds out Behrooz is kind of against him, he's like, "You're no longer my son. You're no longer my son." He absolutely hates him. He just riddles with rage, and I love it when a bad guy's great at being bad. Like, for instance, one of my favourite bad guys of all time is Darth Vader. He just oozes evil. Until, of course, he's good. But did I just ruin Star Wars? Star Wars came out decades ago. Yeah, so I literally can't remember what its name is now. Havid Araz, or whatever. Havid Araz. Great, despicable, evil guy. Awesome. Legend. Now we've got another despicable person. Not a terrorist, but a horrible person. She's a great, horrible person. Like, you love to hate this person. But this is Sherry Palmer, the First Lady, the ex-First Lady, the the horrible person. So throughout her whole time, like season 1, she was all right. Like she didn't come across too much as I don't want to say the B word, but she is nasty. She's terrible. She's awful. But then by season 2, you're just like, oh, this person, she's so good. Like she is the best character to hate. I hate love her. Like I absolutely love how much I hate her. So yes, throughout her whole time, she talks to people behind David's back. She does things without his authority. She tries to get in, like once she's his ex, she wants to get back with him just so she can have the power back. It's just, she's despicable. And then eventually she gets, I wouldn't say she gets what she deserves, but she gets caught up with something that ends up going south for her. And it's just like, you're kind of like, yes. She's awful. Next, right, we've got one of the best legends in this list. This is Tony Almeida, so this is Michelle's husband, Jack's best friend in a sense, and a character that's been in it since at least season 1. He was in season 1 because he had a thing with Nina. He's been in it a long time. So Tony Almeida is a heroic hero, and there's times when you're a bit like, is he losing it? Is he okay? But he's always been one of my favourite characters. He's just amazing. And his love for Michelle is amazing too. I've not really got another word. He's just amazing. When at a certain point in the season when it seems like it's over, that is heartbreaking. But it turns out stuff. I don't want to say too much because I feel like I want to ruin it, but Tony Almeida is unquestionably a legend. He'll always be a legend, and there's no doubt about that. Right, next we have Alison Taylor. So this is a different list. This is the great list. These people are still amazing, but they're not legendary. Right, so Alison Taylor is the first female president in 24, if not ever, in any series. No, there must be, but she is. She's very mothery, like, but she's also strong-willed. Like you can totally trust her to lead this country, even though it's questionable what she kind of does at a point. She's there and she's not backing down, and she is amazing. Like, I don't know if Hillary Clinton would have been like this had she been the president, but I kind of wish Alison Taylor was a real president. Again, David Palmer, want him to be a real president. Alison Taylor, real president, please. Or is it president? I don't know. No, I doubt it. But yeah, and the thing is that during her presidency, she has to go through so many struggles, not just with her job, but with her family. Like, her husband goes after evidence about her son, and her son, there's things wrong with that, and her daughter hates her. It's like, how do you cope with this and your job? It's like, she's a great character. Right, another great character who, like, for the longest part, I hated. Like, this guy was awful. So I think he was in it for about 4 or 5 seasons, and absolutely hated him throughout the whole thing until the last season he was in, where, like George Mason, he did something incredibly brave. Like, it's just, like, although you hated him, at this point, I kind of find myself crying, because he's just standing there and he's like, Jack doesn't trust that he won't run, but he doesn't run, and he's just crying his eyes out, and he's just standing there. Like, I hope I'm not giving too much away, but he is a hero for what he did. I haven't even said who this is. This is Ryan Chappelle, another head of 24, and what a horrible head of 24, but also what a great head of 24. Okay, next we've got an incredible legend here, but she's in great because she was only in it for 1 season, and she was only made to be in it for one season. Like, if she'd been in it for any more, the story would not be as good as it is. But this is Terry Bauer. So this is Jack's wife and Kim's mum, and a really nice lady. Like, it's horrible what happens to her. If you don't know 24, then it's just, this is 24. Like, the story of Terry is 24, basically. There is no 24 without the story of Terry Bauer. She is the one that starts all, basically. But yes, so she's totally a great mum. She goes after Kim and all other sorts, which ends up in her having bad things happen. Nina gets involved. It's just a great season, basically. But yes, Terry Bauer is a great character. Next, this is another one of Jack's sidekicks, in a sense. This is Chase Edmonds, yeah. So he was the love interest of Kim for a while, until she found out that he had a daughter, and that just ruined everything for her and him. But he went to save Jack, not knowing that Jack was undercover, and it ended up in him. Oh, so much awful happened to him. Like, poor guy. But throughout the whole thing, he stayed strong. He was a hero, a great character, and yeah, Chase Edmonds, big up you. Next, we've got Karen Hayes. Yes, this is a good Karen. There are some of them in the world, but she is also the wife of Bill Buchanan, and she, like, when I first saw her, I absolutely hated her. Came across as a really bad character, but then she moved up in the world. She got a bigger job, a better job, and she stood up for so many people, and she did a good job about it. And yeah, a very, very likeable character in the end, who you feel for a lot of the time, especially with what happens between her and Bill. You're definitely feeling her pain. But yes, Karen Hayes is a great character. Right, now we've got Josh. Every time I'm like, oh, I totally knew that. Right, so this is Josh Bauer, the son of Graham and the son of Marlon, who he's a teenager, and like, what do I say about him? Like, whoever the actor is to play him did a spot on job. Like, he hates what his dad did, and you feel for him so much of the time. Like, none of what happens to him he wanted to happen to him. And like, I say season 5 is my favourite season, but a part of me is actually like, season 6 might be my favourite season, because just the whole thing with Jack and his family is amazing. Like, so if you didn't know, this is Jack's nephew, obviously, and he's just, Josh Bauer is a great, great character. A total teenager, but a total good teenager. Now, next, if you recognise this guy, then you might find this a bit funny that this guy is in 24 and he plays quite a serious character, but this is Freddie Prinze Jr. is the actor. So I knew him from Scooby-Doo, and he was also in Friends. He played a male babysitter in Friends.
So you're just like a guy who's a nanny.
I realize how it's a bit unorthodox for some people, but I really believe the most satisfying thing you can do with your life is take care of a child.
But here he is in 24 playing another one of Jack's second-hand men, in a sense. So yes, this is the action figure guy. This is Cole Ortez, and he's definitely up there with one of my favourite sidekicks. Like, he has a thing for a woman, and the woman turns out to be bad, and it's just, you just feel for him. He's so angry, and it's great how angry he is. But yeah, I really like Cole, even though he's played by a guy that's like, I can barely take him serious most of the time. Was he not also in a thing? He was in a film, She's All That or something. It's just, how is it? It's nice to see a guy that usually does silly things or funny films do something a bit more serious. So yeah, so that's Cole Ortez. What a great character. Right, now we've got Marlon Bauer. So this is Josh's mum. This is Graham's wife, and it's also another love interest of Jack's, which didn't really go anywhere, but in the past, her and him had a fling, whatever. But she's a good character. I mean, definitely not one of my favourite characters. I'm not raving about this character, but she's still a good character. Like, she is definitely a mum. She is definitely there. She's barely in it. I think she maybe has a handful of scenes in season 6, but she doesn't come back after that, and she's not in it before it. She's barely in it, but she's good. She is a good character. Right, I also note there's somebody that's not in this list who I would put quite high up. Her name is Marianne Taylor. She was in 24 as the lab person for a long time. She was also in Friends as well as a character, as Joey and Ross's girlfriend. But she was a bad-ish person. I'd put her in great as well. Oh, there we go, Dalia Hassan. See, I never, not a really easy name to remember, but yes, this is the wife of Omar Hassan and the mother to Kyla Hassan. She, because of circumstances, becomes another female leader, and she's amazing at it. Like, it's basically because there was a deal that had happened, and she was the only one that could see this deal. Despite what had happened, she still went through with it. She was still strong, still good, still stood by it. I mean, this is what makes season 8 a better season than what it seems to be. Like, she's a strong, heroic, great person. Right, now this is, I can't remember if he's got a first name or second name, but this is Belchek, another one of Jack's sidekick guys, and this was one of the worst seasons. I think this was season 9 he was in. It's either season 9 or season 8, one of the worst seasons ever, but within the worst season ever, there's still some great characters, and Belchek is one of those great characters. He's a very likeable sidekick. He doesn't really come across bad in any way whatsoever. He's there for Jack when he needs to be. Great character. And the last one in the great category, we've got Christopher Henderson. So another really bad guy, not really a terrorist in a sense, just maybe I have to search what the term terrorist means, but in this sense he's just a really, really bad guy that does bad things. Like, he does something that changes Jack's life quite significantly, but it turns out it doesn't really. But he used to work for 24 in the past, and then something bad had got found out about him which ruined his life in a sense, but then Jack came back, and then Christopher got his revenge and ruined his life. But he's very sophisticated as well. He kind of reminds me of Arnold Schwarzenegger if Arnold Schwarzenegger had an American accent or something like that. Wait, did I just say what I said? Like, I think I'm crazy. Yeah, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger is Austrian, right? He's not. Am I talking rubbish? He's not American. So if he was more American, this is what I think he'd be like. Right. Not a bad guy, obviously, but yeah. Right. Next, we've got another terrorist, another bad terrorist, but this is the decent category, and this is Abu Fayed. Abu Fayed gets away with quite a lot for quite a while, and he keeps, like, whenever there's a bomb that goes off, whenever there's a blast that happens, he's there, but he manages to escape it. Like, I think he escaped a total number of 3 times in this season. He managed to get away constantly until Jack finally found him and gave him what he deserved. But yeah, not one of my, like not top tier terrorists, but quite a bad guy, and that's why he's in the decent category. Right, next we've got Adam Kaufman. So this was kind of a side character in a sense. He was in the lab a lot, but then a horrible thing happened to his sister. This was around the time of terrorist attack, and that kind of strayed him from his work, but he still stayed there, he still carried on, he still did good stuff. So I think he was in the lab. He was in 24 around the same time as Kim, if I remember correctly. He was an alright character there. I don't think Chloe was around much at this point. But yeah, he was okay, like decent in other words. Marie Warner. So at the start of this season, or around the start of the season, this is her wedding day, and she comes across as like a princess, but then she turns out to be an awful person, like an absolutely awful person, and you would have no idea. Well, I've just ruined that for you anyways, but yeah, you would find out anyway. But yes, she is awful, and when she gets found out, she just comes across as a cynical person. She's insane, and she's great at being insane, like awesomely great at being insane. Decent at being insane, basically. Right. So yeah, bad. I don't want to say bad girl because that means something else, but bad person. Next, we've got Lynn McGill. So this is another character like Ryan Chappelle, who I absolutely hated for the longest time. He was only in it for a little bit, but by the end of it, like after everything that had been done, he was once again an incredibly heroic person who did something great for 24, and he should be lived down as a legend for that. But no, not a legend, just a decent guy for that. But he had to cope with a lot of going on in the background of him too, like things involving his sister. So, yeah. Right, next we've got Claudia, well, spelled Claudia, or Claudia, as her husband-boyfriend guy pronounced it. But yes, this is Claudia. Can't remember her second name right now, but this is Claudia, and she lives in Mexico with her boyfriend, husband thing, her brother, and her dad, and her husband, boyfriend thing, whatever he is an incredibly bad terrorist guy, and I don't think she's not on board with it in a sense, but she kind of like pulls a blanket over her eyes or something. Like she kind of knows what she's doing, but she doesn't want to get involved with it. Does that make sense? So in that sense, yeah, she's not bad. Like her and Jack again had some sort of fling thing. How many women have you got? And once again, an incredibly pretty lady. But unfortunately, bad things happen to her, and it's really sad because she does all this stuff helping Jack out, and it's just sad. Right. This is Fayed Hassan. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's Fayed Hassan. So it's the brother of Omar Hassan, and once again a very bad guy. But as far as like bad guys go, this guy's a little bit more weaker, but I still enjoy him being bad. He's still good at being bad, and it's enjoyable. I'm just saying it's not as enjoyable as other bad guys, but yes, decent bad guy. Next we've got Graham Bauer. So this is Jack Bauer's brother, Philip Bauer's son, Josh Bauer's dad, etc. And he comes in at season 25. He comes in season 5 and is in it till season 6. And during his time in it, like, if you look at him and you didn't know he was Jack's brother, I would never say they're brothers. Like, Jack's this powerful, strong, mighty hero guy, and this guy's, well, not that. But he is strong. Like, he holds out whilst being tortured, and he doesn't say anything about another going on, which ends up in him having a rough time. But yes, I do like him. He's a decent character. I just do not love him enough to put him in a legend or a great. Right, next we've got Ethan Kanan, and what a great name that is. So he comes in around about season 4 maybe or something. He's briefly in it in a previous episode or something, but he's mainly in season 7. He's the president's second-hand man basically, and he's likable, definitely likable, but I can't say I love him as a character. Like, with James Heller, right, there was a point where you're like, how could you be like this, and you kind of slightly hate him. But Ethan, it's like I more hate him than I hate James Heller. Like, I do really like Ethan, but when he does the bad, I'm like, ah. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but it makes sense to me. Anyways, he's a decent character. Next, we've got Gary Matheson, another bad guy that's not a terrorist, it's just a bad guy. So after season 1, when things go bad for Jack, Kim ends up staying with the Mathesons, and this is one of them, and he is horrible to his wife and his daughter, and Kim tries to stop him multiple times and keeps failing because of going-ons, but he's one of these people that just, you could totally see him in an episode of CSI, basically. He riddles evil again. So that's why he's in Decent. Right. Next, we've got Gayed, or is it Ortez as well? I think it is. I'm just going to go with that. So, around about the start of this season, you believe this guy is a bad guy. Like, you're totally on board with him being a bad guy. But then he turns out he was doing something else, and sadly, things happened to him as well. But you kind of end up liking him. Like, what he does, true hero, likeable, stuff like that. Moving on. Some people I will go more in depth, but I do not want this this will be more than one episode, obviously, but I do not want this episode to be drawn out. Right. Next, we've got Wing Cheng or something. I think I'm right. This is, see, for the longest time I thought he was the president of China, but he's not. He is totally not. He's a Chinese terrorist in a sense. He's a bad guy who does stuff to Jack and he does stuff to Audrey. He's an awful guy. But he's a great awful guy as well. He's just another terrorist you love to hate, basically. Decent guy. And he's in it for about 3 or 2 seasons. He's in a few. Right, next we've got Bob Warner. So this is Marie and Kate Warner's dad. A very likeable guy. Like, when you thought for a minute he was evil, like, I don't think I ever thought he was evil. Like, I totally knew he wasn't, because look at him. He doesn't look evil at all. He's totally been nice the whole time, even when the person who he suspected as being evil, he was still kind of standing by him. You know, he was trying to support him as best he could. So an all-round pretty good guy. Right, next we've got another head of CTU. This is Brian Hastings. So he was in one of the worst seasons, or he was in season 8, so kind of not the worst season. As the leaders go, maybe not one of the strongest ones, but a still very likeable guy, and he does good things whilst he's in charge. And I think something had happened. I can't really remember right now, but something had happened, and I think something had happened with Jack, and Brian was being very stubborn about it, but then he saw the light and he helped Jack out. So he's a good guy for that reason. Andre Drazen. Andre or Andrew, or no, I think it's Andre. Right, so this is Andre Drazen, the son of, I didn't even check what his name is, which is really annoying, Victor Drazen, and the brother to another Drazen. Oh, wait, I know the Drazen. Is it, it's not Cyprus, it's something, it's something like that. It's Cletus or Cyprus, or a very, very nice name. So this is, I was about to say Victor Drazen. Where is he even? I've lost him. Right, yes. So this is Andre Drazen, and his brother's actually right next to him. But yes, this is season 1. I think these guys were in. These were the bad guys of season 1, and they were very good bad guys. I liked them enough. I think it's season 1 at least. I really can't remember, but I really liked these bad guys. They were totally great at being bad. I think the stronger of the two was Andre, and then it was the other one, which I can't remember his name right now, which is really annoying me. But yeah, he's a decent character. I need to check, what is this guy's name? Cyprus? What's his name? Alexis. Whoops, sorry. Yes, so Alexis Drazen. And Alexis Drazen was dating somebody in the government, I think, and she ended up getting really mad at him when she found out what he was all about, a terrorist bad guy. But I guess this is the more smooth of the brothers, like the more charming of the brothers. Totally, yeah, good bad guy. Now, the next guy you might recognise, Marcus I can't speak it. Marcos Al-Zakar. So Marcos Al-Khazar. Yeah. So if you recognise, where is he? There. This is Rami Malek. Now, if you don't know that name, this is before Bohemian Rhapsody, before Night at the Museum, before, I think maybe before Until Dawn, and definitely before James Bond. So this guy has been in quite a few of things, and in this he's just a kid basically. He's just starting out, and he does such a good job. Like, there's literally a part where he's in the hospital and he's struggling, but he holds strong. He's there, he's doing well. Oh, he's great. So yeah, and I'm going to end the episode here. So join me soon for the next part. But for now, bye.